Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR, HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Important in all things in beauty. Welcome to RadioAMB, designed for those who want to live a long and vibrant life. I'm Patty Smucker, your host, and someone who's been in the beauty industry for over 40 years. I started out in the beauty industry as a cosmetologist, working behind the chair doing hair, and ended up specializing in skin care and makeup. RadioAMB, which stands for American Made Beauty, is where we tell the secrets behind the making of health and beauty products. Our program sponsor is Free Your Mane. You can go to Free Your Mane, spelled M-A-N-E, freeyourmane.com, and on checkout, use RadioAMB for a 30% discount, and you can also find Free Your Mane in Anthropologie stores. Today, we title this show Beauty and Your Nose, which may sound a little odd to many of you, but today, in our feature interview, you'll learn about the mechanism in your brain called the olfactory system. The olfactory system is a direct pathway into the body that can affect your mood, body temperature, circulation, and much more. Danica Siegal of I Fragrance was born into fragrance, and so it makes sense that her brand I connects fragrance with our spiritual experiences as humans. You'll hear about her journey on developing I and exploring the power of aroma. In our second segment we call In the Jar, the difference between botanical-based aroma and synthetics will be the feature of our interview, how botanicals are sourced and why this is really important for you as consumers to know. Then we'll take another break and come back with our segment called Beauty That's Soul Deep. And there, Danica is going to share with us a little bit about the emotional and spiritual aspects of aroma, how aroma can create memory response, and why it makes a powerful tool for meditation. And finally, we'll wrap up the show today by looking at what's happening in the future as far as trends in aroma, how that ties to color, and what people can get when they experience these kinds of products. We'll also look a little bit about how fashion and aroma are linked, and if we have time, we'll talk about some of the exciting things that Danica has lying ahead for her brand. Just remember that our program sponsor is Free Your Mane, and so let's get started by telling you a little bit more about Danica. Normally at this time, I have a very constructed bio to talk about someone, but Danica's a little different. So who Danica is a little hard to say in a concrete way. She's changing all the time, but these are the things that have stayed the most consistent for Danica. She's an artist of sorts, a student, a mother of 3 beautiful people. She's often asking herself, what does all of this mean? And through her meditation and prayer, she's developing and letting go of what she thinks she really knows. Gratitude, an open mind, a light heart, caring, sharing, and repeat of all these things is the core of how she practices the art of being. She believes it's simple, but it's not always easy. So that's Danica in a little peek. So let's meet the real Danica. Welcome, Danica. We're thrilled to have you with us.
Thanks, Patty. It's great to be here.
Well, Danica, I know that this journey into aroma is one that you were sort of born into. So tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Well, I was born with this nose right in the middle of my face. I had to ask myself, why did God give me this thing right in the middle? No. I just have always loved smelling things. I love food. I love all different kinds of plants and fruit and freshness and the ocean and the sky, and I like the smell when you go up into the mountains, whether it's a hot day, there's a certain odor that comes out of the trees and the dirt and the grasses, to a nice cold, fresh winter day at the top of a mountain as I get off of a ski lift, or just walking along the ocean. There are just so many scents that come to me, and so I'm absolutely fascinated by this power that is placed front row and center. And the more that I learn about it and the more that I study, just it continues to fascinate me. My father was a geneticist. He was a scientist, a serious scientist, and he was on the forefront of studying DNA. He worked with Watson and Crick in Indiana in the late 40s, where they discovered DNA. And his research was on learning and memory, and how when we learn new things and we're reminded of other things, there are shifts and changes that happen in our very DNA, which is like the building blocks, the very core of who we are at such a smaller than cellular level, that it absolutely fascinates me that I can change my mind, and then I can change my physiology, my body, my cells, my actual DNA by changing the way that I think. So how can I change the way that I think? I can use my nose to do it. It's absolutely the most powerful sense that we have.
And that's an important link, is that with the background of your father, and here you had this huge extrasensory perception with regards to aroma, and then your father's research with regards to DNA and how our minds work. It basically, all of those became building blocks for you to start looking at how can you link those two?
Yes. And also my great uncle, who was a perfumer, who started making perfumes in the late 20s, which was at the time of the birth of the fragrance industry as we know it today. In the beginning, they didn't have the chemistry to provide fragrances for the masses of people that would have loved them, because of resources and things like that were so hard to get in those days. And so that family business was carried on by my cousin, and so it's been in our family for a long time, and in the raw materials of fragrance end of business. And so they've been supplying raw materials to the fragrance industry since the late 1920s. So I got some very good information about acquiring raw materials also used in perfume.
And so let's go back for our guest and help them to understand about the power of aroma, because I'm not sure that a lot of people understand that our sense of smell occurs because of this mechanism in our that's at the tip of our brain called the olfactory system. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the olfactory nerve is like a little bulb, and it captures fragrance molecules that are in the air, and those little fragrance molecules are sent directly into this limbic part of our brain, and the limbic part is where we hold memories and emotions and feelings. It's that reptilian part of our brain. And when we smell something, it directly goes in there and reminds us of things and triggers emotions and feelings and anchors thoughts. And it just is very subconscious. It's subliminal. There are many odors that are out in the world that we don't even consciously recognize, things like pheromones, which is a completely interesting topic to me. And your pheromones are yours, like your fingerprint. There are no two pheromones alike. I mean, every single person has their own pheromone fingerprint, and we're picking those up as we go throughout the day from others subconsciously. so there are so many things that go into this, but this limbic part of our brain is the seat of our emotions, the seat of our feelings, our thoughts, and really helps to protect us and direct us into safety, action, and taking care of our basic needs.
And that I think is the important thing is that there is this very strong connection. People think that aroma is just something that is frivolous or just cosmetic, but what you're saying, if I'm understanding you right, is that by understanding the power of the olfactory system and that it actually is connected to the limbic part of the brain, it actually is that, what you said, the seat of our emotion. And that's, in fact, how you along the way have discovered the power between emotion and the way we think.
Yes, and the way we think and the way we feel. Mm-hmm. So how we think determines how we feel. So if we can control how we think through using this tool, this olfactory nerve, if we can control how we think and then how we feel, we create new neural pathways in our brain by repeating the same thoughts and the same little grooves that happen in our thinking. And so we fall into ways of thinking and ways of feeling that are either negative or positive. But if we have the power and we understand that we can control how we think, we must control how we think. Otherwise, we're at the whim of the world.
Right. Right.
You know, so that's why this thing is in the middle of our face.
It all circles back around.
Hello, I'd like to introduce you to your nose.
I love that.
Nose.
And so it just seemed like a natural pathway for you to be. You were born into aroma. We were born with this nose, but your father with this DNA work, and then your uncle with this fragrance business. How did you come upon creating a company called I Am Fragrance?
Well, I was in the beauty business. When I was in my 20s, I was sort of looking around for what it was that I really wanted to do, and I was in theater. I loved theater, and I was a single mom, and I just couldn't do that anymore because I had responsibilities and things like that, and I was working for a beauty company, and also really diving into my spiritual exploration at the same time. And I felt like beauty, the way that our culture looked at beauty, was really from the outside. And I really felt like it was so important to turn that around so that women considered, our culture would start to consider beauty as something that is born on the inside and really lives on the inside and then radiates out. And that it's maybe even more important, you know, that we take care of our insides. And so perfume and the power of I Am perfume is like a lipstick for my soul. It's like, so when I think good and I feel good, I treat myself well, I treat others well, and I shine from inside. There's not enough.
Go ahead.
There's not enough makeup in the world that's going to cover up a bad, nasty attitude.
I love it, and you just people you found that beauty is born on the inside and lives on the inside and radiates from inside out.
We're hoping that if I look this certain way, that I'm going to feel good, and I'm going to fit in, and I'm going to feel good, and I'm going to be happy if I look at, and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. What works is working on what's on the inside. How I think turns into how I feel, and how I feel turns into how I act, and how I act turns into my life.
Right.
And it has to start from within.
Right. And I love that, lipstick for the soul. But you're right. I mean, that's the whole, you know, one of the powerful parts of what you're doing with your brand is the beauty is the aspect that we all want, and we all want to look the best that we can and be attractive. But truly, if you're looking at it from understanding the power and the choice that you have all the way down to the DNA level and that you have the ability to control that, that's a lot of where you focused your message in creating this powerful brand called I Am Fragrance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, if you have good thoughts and no stinking thinking, that's my thing. Mm-hmm. But if you have good thoughts and good feelings and good feelings about yourself and about the world, that you actually pass that on to others, it is contagious.
Right.
Happiness is contagious, as is anger and all of those negative feelings. And so it's up to us, because we're ultimately responsible for how we view things, to take that responsibility and treat ourselves like, we are little special goddesses of beauty,
right?
And it comes from inside.
So fast forward to today, you have this amazing brand that I Am Fragrance, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later in the show. But for someone, you're another one of those fabulous stories of the pathways into the beauty industry come from many different ways, and what you do with it can be anything you want to. You're the brand owner. Tell us what it looks like on a daily basis as the owner of a perfume company. What does an average day look like for you?
Well, I start off in the morning before I try really hard. 90% of the time I don't look at my email, talk on the phone, or do anything other than get my coffee, take my little dog out for a pee-pee, and then I sit down and meditate. Mm-hmm. I have some special little prayer books, meditations, spiritual things that I read. I meditate for 15 minutes, and I say my prayers, and I get straight what my mission is, which is to serve, and then I can start my day. When I start my day, I check my emails, and it can go any way from there.
Right.
It can go in a million different directions. Anything from solving a customer service issue in shipping to sourcing out a new fragrance ingredient, or talking to customers, distributor, how much does something weigh, looking at the cost for different bottles, components, just the website, descriptive words, everything from sales through graphics and design, and looking for beautiful imagery, and then, making sure that if I start to feel any kind of anxiety, that I stop and I pause and I take a few breaths, and sometimes I just sit and meditate for 10 minutes, or I write down my feelings or my thoughts, and sometimes I have to go for a walk. It's really great to get out and go for a walk. Mm-hmm. And I find that if I take care of myself and eat, drink, and exercise, and laugh, and make a gratitude list, then the trials of being a business owner and the challenges and the fun can balance, and hopefully people will have a product in their vanity in their life, and on their vanity. Fragrance is usually in a person's home, is usually on the vanity in their bathroom, or with a small little rollerball perfume that they keep in their purse, and people will be reminded of their blessings, or the fact that they have love in their life, or to be true, to be honest, to be real, and all the little messages that I'm hoping that my fragrances will deliver, the little fragrant messages that are out in the world.
Right. And because we will talk about that connection between aroma and soul, but as we come to the end of this first segment, tell us about what is the most, because it sounds like what an average day looks like for you runs the gamut. Tell us about what excites you about getting up every morning for I Am Fragrance.
Well, I love getting orders on the website. I love customers calling and saying, I need more. It's flying off the shelf. We love your perfume. Thinking of new fragrances. My favorite thing is the creative part of it. I'm a creative person. Like today I was talking with a girl we're going to be doing some little hats Hats, yeah. So, that you can go to the gym and wear out and, that have little positive messages on them just for little gifts with purchase and to sell to some of our spa customers, that have little spa boutiques and things like that, just little fun things. I love to create new products. I love to talk to the lab workers and people that are filling, and I just love talking to customers and, I like people. I'm a people person.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were going to recommend, if somebody wanted to get into perfume, what do you think is something that they should do or study that would help them in this particular category?
To do or study? Well, to do, I would just say to do what I did, which would be the health food store and buy some essential oils and start mixing and playing and look at the oils as though each one is a different personality as they are. As they come from plants, each one has a different personality. And start to mix and blend what you like and learn about the base notes and the top notes and the middle notes and the flowers and the fruits and the seeds and the roots and the woods and all those different elements. And study online, read stuff, get a book. There's a lot of information out there, but mostly it's the art of blending.
Right. And so we're going to take a break right here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about that art and understand the difference between botanical and synthetic aromas. You're listening to RadioAMB, and remember that our sponsor is Free Your Mane. We'll be right back.
Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the Internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now, it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com, and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
Where positive people and radio unite. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. I'm Patty Smucker, your host here at Radio AMB. We're here with Danica Siegal of I Am Fragrance. And in this segment we call In the Jar, we normally talk about those unique ingredients and things that you would find in the product that our guest is producing. And in this case, it is botanical-based aromas and perfumes. Danica, let's start. Can you tell us a little bit about what is the difference between a botanical and a synthetic aroma?
Well, synthetic aroma is made up of chemicals from a lab, which are a whole host, a variety of different types of aromatic chemicals. They're inexpensive, and they don't involve plants. Botanicals, on the other hand, come straight from plants. They are essential oils, which are steam distilled usually out of plant material. They're put through the steam distillation process, and depending on that plant material, the yield of that plant, being the oil, the essential oil that is produced from that plant, is either a high yield or a very low yield. If it's a high yield, that means that it's plentiful, and if you took 5,000 pounds of rose petals, which rose is very expensive to buy, rose oil, extremely expensive. It's rare and precious. But it takes 5,000 pounds of rose petals to get 1 pound of rose oil.
5,000 pounds of rose
5,000 pounds
petals to make 1 pound.
And you know how light those petals are? They're very lightweight, so you can imagine the mass that it takes. Whereas orange peel or lemon peel or grapefruit or some of the citrus oils have a very high yield. So if you took 5,000 pounds of orange peels or lemon or grapefruit, you might have a yield of, 1,000 pounds. I'm guessing. I don't know exactly the yield of that citrus, but I know that rose is 5,000 to 1. Right. Yeah. But also, in things like citrus oils, like orange and lemon and grapefruit, these are also byproducts of juices and put out by the Sunkist company. So they're plentiful and they don't go to waste. It's a very, very good natural oil to use, and these are used in top notes and fragrances all the time.
And Danica, is it true too that one of those differences between synthetic and botanicals is that botanicals are going to, as you were saying, the distillation process is important, but they're capturing the essence of an organism that's alive. Yeah,
and so I feel like they have personalities. Right. They are alive with the spirit that made them, that these are very, very beautiful, clean materials to use. Now, but there's a balance here because there are certain oils that are absolutely beautiful from plants, but they're endangered, or they have to cut down the rainforest to get them, like sandalwood oil, for example. That there are other oils that are hard to get because they involve, quite frankly, slave labor. I mean, and I'm sorry to say that, but it takes so many, like rose, for example, that is, or some of the other rare and precious, like jasmine. It's just incredibly difficult for the earth to produce enough of these oils. They have a new kind of technology where they're creating fragrances called nature identicals, which is a new kind of chemistry where they use a mass spectrometer and they use natural fragrance from flowers, like they put the fragrance molecules, for example, from orange blossom to make a neroli oil, and they have a computer-generated recipe of exactly every chemical constituent that goes into that neroli oil that nature created, and then they just use those exact same chemicals and put it together in the lab. So it's called a nature identical. It's exactly like nature, but in some cases you have to do that, otherwise it's not healthy for the planet or for people.
Yeah, and that's a really delicate balance, and I think that a lot of people aren't aware of that there is all of those different factors. These issues aren't cut and dry, and so it's not really just botanicals are better than synthetics, but there are other factors. Going back to the way that it's distilled, when we talk about that energy, it's from a scientific perspective. Is it true that botanicals actually have a molecular activity that can be scientifically measured?
I believe so. I've heard that, and I don't know a lot of the details about that kind of research, but I do know that lavender, for example, really does help calm down burns. I would put chamomile and lavender on a little tissue and have my daughter smell it and say, I am ready to sleep, whenever she went to sleep at night, and she would sniff her little I am ready to sleep lavender and chamomile, and it would remind her immediately of how it feels to go right into that nice quiet place right before I go to sleep. And she would say, I am ready to sleep, I am ready to sleep, and connect that. So there are incredible powers in essential oils, and I think the powers that are in these oils are beyond what we've even really begun to understand. But I believe in eating healthy food, and I believe in smelling healthy perfume.
Right, right.
Clean food, clean perfume, you know.
And so at the end of the day, what you're saying is that if at all possible, that your choice would be for a botanically based aroma versus something that's synthetic, that is a healthier alternative than using a synthetic.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And, I know from the years that I worked with Aveda that was one of the things that Horst was adamant about. I mean, that it would always be a botanical. And from a consumer education standpoint, one of the ways that you can discern whether a product has a synthetic aroma versus a botanically based is on the ingredient list. You will often see for something that's botanical, they will actually list the names of the product, or it would be a botanical blend of essential oils. Those are characteristics of labeling that will tell you that it is a botanical-based aroma versus a synthetic, where normally what you will see on the label is simply the word fragrance.
Yes, that's true. That's true in some ways, but in fragrance, it's a little bit different. The laws require that fragrance labels, and on our fragrances, we list the individual oils that we use but we can't list everything on our package.
Right.
If you go to our website, you'll see some of the different notes. But we also use, in our fragrances, we use 50 to 70 different oils in each blend.
Right.
So they're complex fragrances. And what we found is that when women are looking to buy a perfume, a real perfume, they don't want just a single oil, or, if you're using only natural botanicals that are not hurting the plant, what I'm saying is that in my opinion and in our fragrances, we do use nature identical ingredients in some cases where the natural botanicals are unavailable. As opposed to synthetics.
Right.
We don't use synthetics, but we use nature identicals. So there is no harm in them. There's no harm in smelling a beautiful perfume that is blended with orange and grapefruit. You're not going to be allergic.
Right, right.
But I would rather have the beautiful scent of sandalwood without having to strip the rainforest.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're going to take another break, and just remember that you're listening to Radio AMB. Our program sponsor is Free Your Mane, and when we return, we're going to focus our attention on this connection between emotional and the spiritual aspect of aroma. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Danica.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need, from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call EarthChannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap steak. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. You're listening to Radio AMB on HealthyLife.net. I'm Patty Smucker, your host, and we're here with Danica Siegal. In this segment we call Beauty That's Soul Deep. I like to talk about those soul-stirring aspects of the companies that we work with. And, Danica, you've really done some interesting things in terms of connecting emotion and spirit with aroma. You were telling us earlier in an earlier segment about how you would put a little bit of chamomile on a cloth and have your daughter smell this while she's saying the affirmation, I'm going to sleep, or I am sleepy.
I am ready to sleep.
I am ready to sleep. So tell us about this connection between aroma and emotion and spirit.
Well, let's see. Well, I know that chamomile tea helps us to relax. Lavender helps us to relax. And so I thought, well, what would happen if I triggered that relaxing feeling? Like, you know, I think we forget sometimes, like when we're going to sleep, what it feels like to be in that really nice, ready to sleep, like when you're just about ready to dream off, your body is all nice and relaxed. And I think it's sometimes it's hard to get there, to get to that place. And so my daughter would have trouble sleeping sometimes, and she'd be, Mommy, didn't you go to sleep? Can you come in here? I was just in there. Mommy, go to sleep. I can't. Well, how come you can't go to sleep? I'm just not ready to sleep. Do you remember what it feels like to go ready to sleep, to be ready to sleep? And so I say, how about if I make you a little special little smell for sleeping? Oh, yeah, mix up some oils for me. So I mixed up a little root oil and grounding woods and then put some chamomile and some lavender in there, and we mixed it up, and we called it I Am Ready to Sleep. And then she would smell that, and she would say, I am ready to sleep. And then what happens is when you say I am ready to sleep, you remember it. And then every time you smell that smell, when you associate that scent with that feeling, it brings you back immediately into that place. And so it can help you fall asleep a little bit easier. And it's sort of like that little ritual, When I say I am hot, and I mean like hot mama, hot. And then I say it a couple more times, pretty soon you start to believe it, and start to act like it, And the same is true if you go on the reverse and say, I am old, I am ugly, I'm fat. Right. That negative self-talk, that we all know at some level. And so the fragrance helps us to remind us to go through that olfactory nerve into that limited part of our brain, connect with memory, connect with our feelings, and instantly bring us back to that place, whether that place is a place of gratitude with I am blessed, or a place of I am free, remembering what it feels like to be free, to do what I want to do, to let go of things, to, you know, whatever that means to me, but to be reminded in a very simple way. So I believe that the world is complex. I believe that we are complex individuals, but sometimes it's good to get really, really simple because the answers are simple. My daughter said one of the wisest things to me, I'll never forget it, when she was 5 years old. She said, "Mommy, you know what? Simple things are best because you can do them."
Yeah, that's right. Simple things are best because you can do them. That's it. Eddie, it's out of the mouth of babes, right?
Yeah, you know, and the thing in the middle of our face and just controlling how we think and bringing it back to being quiet and just letting the thoughts kind of go and just breathing and that meditation and you know, I am is a great affirmation. It's a great meditation, you know. And when you smell I am fragrance, when you smell it on you subconsciously, you put it on in the morning, that idea is brought into you. I am blessed, for example. I have a fragrance called I am blessed. I am blessed, and it reminds me that I am blessed, and it reminds me of all the things I have to be thankful for. And then I put it on, and then all throughout the day, I'm reminded, not only when I smell that fragrance on myself, but subconsciously I'm getting those olfactory messages, you know, on that wave of scent as it comes through my body, in through my olfactory, into my brain, and it reminds me I am blessed. You know what? I am so thankful, and that makes me happy. It makes me feel rich and full, and I feel like I have more to give. I don't feel so needy. It is just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Absolutely. And you know, going back in terms of connecting it to the work that your father did in understanding DNA, understanding the neural pathways of the brains and the way we think, and then further on learning about that connection with the olfactory system and how we can literally change the way we feel, which changes the way that the way we think, which changes the way we feel, which changes the way we behave, and all of that connection comes together in your brand, where you teach people to make these affirmations. So you have within the I Am brand, is it 7 different affirmation?
I actually have 11.
Okay.
Actually 12 right now.
Okay. And so there's an aroma associated and a ritual associated that helps give people the tools to be thinking and feeling these different positive thoughts, but also tools for meditation.
Yes. I mean, I feel like spiritual food is as important as the food that we eat. I mean, yes, we can live without meditating, but why? Mm-hmm. Why would we want to live without a spiritual life? Why would we not want to forget or not even experience or know what it's like just to stop and take a deep breath and just be and connect back with yourself, back with the world, back with the things that are really, truly important, which is how you think, which leads to how you feel, which leads to how you behave, how you treat others, and how the whole world is really sort of, we're all connected. I believe that we're all connected, and Michael Jackson wrote that song, I'm starting with the man in the mirror, you know. It's like, treat yourself well so you can love the world better, take care of the people you love, take care of yourself, and it all starts with how you think, you know, so we have to be mindful of the thoughts that we're thinking, and fragrance can be our olfactory reminder and subconsciously work for us. I mean,
it definitely becomes a tool that, you know, and you said it so nicely in the first segment, that beauty is born on the inside, and it lives on the inside. Absolutely. And it's only then that it's able to truly radiate on the outside. So getting back to what
if if it lives on the inside, I'm sorry for interrupting, that's where we have to feed it.
Right.
We have to take care of it.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's where the real power is, and that you're able to use that aroma as that tool to be effective at that keeping that soul and that living alive on the inside.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we will wrap up with this just wonderful conversation with you, Danica, on the nose and the beauty in our nose. So don't go away. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk a little bit about trends in aroma and color and what lies ahead for Danica. Stay with us.
The thing about beauty, it's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap state. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
Welcome back to our last segment that we call Beauty Biz here at RadioAMB, where we share the secrets behind the making of health and beauty products. I'm here with Danica Siegal of I Am Fragrance, and remember that our program sponsor is Freer, Maine. So, Danica, tell us a little bit about what lies ahead in terms of aroma. Are there aroma trends?
I believe there are some aroma trends. And I think that the trends are definitely towards the more natural fragrances that feed your soul, that are, like I said, the lipstick for your soul, that are more about the individual and the expression of each individual, that are speaking to each one of us individually to express who we are, rather than in the past it was more about designers and celebrity things like that are much not really what's going in the future. I don't see that happening. I think people are really wanting more products that speak to them, and on a spiritual level, on an intellectual level. People are smart these days. They're understanding all of this information that we're giving them, because people have access to this information from the internet. So people are really demanding more depth and content to the products that they're consuming, and so I'm hoping that we're on the going in the right direction of where people really want is to have products that really do address their true happiness.
Right. Now, you, with each one of your fragrances that you tie with these positive affirmations, you've also tied color. How does color play an important role in this process?
Well, I think color identity is important as a reminder, a visual reminder. So I've chosen colors that I feel sort of go with the theme or the feeling of the fragrance. And also, I don't know, it's hard to explain exactly why each fragrance I chose the different colors, but it's an intuitive, like I Am Me is one of our best-selling fragrances.
Mm-hmm.
I Am Me, I made it, I dressed it in black. And I wear black a lot just because I can't be bothered with, like, what color am I going to wear today, so it's just easier to just pull out some black, I guess, you know. It's like my signature, you know. But I just don't like to worry about what I'm going to wear so much, so I don't know, it's just easy. And the little black dress, you know, it's just easy. You know, I Am Me. It's just, you know, I don't know.
And, you know, it's interesting, and because you and I have had an opportunity to be together, and if somebody had said, do you know that Danica only wears black, I would have said absolutely not. You're just so colorful and alive in every opportunity I've ever exchanged with you that I would never have pinned you as a person that wears black all the time.
Well, you know, when I was a little girl, my mother would take me to see the symphony. And all of the people that played in the orchestra all wore black because we were supposed to be focusing on the music, not on what they were wearing.
Right, right.
So maybe I wear black because I'm kind of colorful.
I think that's
not
so
that
great.
I don't wear other colors, I do, but I just always seem to gravitate to black. But then, like, I Am Free perfume is a beautiful lime green, but it also has that sort of springy, natural smell. And being I Am Free, just, I don't know, it's just green. It's that nice, fresh green.
So
each smell is green, you know.
So each of the colors that you selected was something that was a visual reminder, and it was intuitive from you.
Yeah, it was a deliberate choice.
Right. But there has always been a history, though, of fragrance and fashion.
Yes.
How does that tie together?
Fragrance and fashion.
What's that?
Fragrance and fashion. Well, I think it's just, you know, the trends and what people are looking for. You know, in the 70s, when the whole fragrance world sort of started busting open with, you know, Ralph Lauren, the big clothing designers, Calvin Klein and all of them, they were making clothing, and they realized that fragrance, if they made a fragrance, that people would be reminded of their brand. Subconsciously, they would be thinking of that brand.
Right. And of course, the most famous of them, Coco Chanel, number 5, which was she had 5 different samples that came from the fragrance house, and of the 5, I think it was 8 that she had, 5 was the 5th one was the one that she liked the best. So that was where the name came from.
And it continues to be like at the top of the charts. All these, you know, almost 100 years later, Chanel number 5, you know, is an incredible thing.
Yes.
So yeah, it does. It goes hand in hand. It's style, it's color, it's the feeling of the culture that we live in. It's, you know, it's always changing and growing, and as a creator of fragrance, we've got to grow and change with it, and so we do.
Right. Well, at the very beginning, we talked about the idea that you're hard to say in a concrete way who you are. Can you say in a concrete way or in any way what lies ahead for Danica and I Am Fragrance?
Well, I hope we'll just make more and more bottles of different kinds of perfume, and the company will grow and grow, and what lies ahead for me is hopefully grandchildren. I'm only 52, but
you're ready.
I love my family, and I love my children, and I love my work, and I hope I get to continue doing it for as long as I live, you know.
When you think about new aromas, what's the inspiration?
Oh, well, Cleopatra is one.
And why? Tell us about that. Why?
Cleopatra. Oh my goodness, she was the queen of queens. You know, she was such an amazing queen, Cleopatra. Oh my God. So she would drench the sails of her ships in neroli oil, which was extremely rare and precious. It's like one of those 5,000 pounds of orange blossom petals to create 1 pound of orange blossom oil, which is known as neroli.
Right.
But she would drench the sails of her ships in it, so when the wind would blow, Mark Anthony would know that she was coming. And so, you know, it's just and it is an incredible, incredible fragrance, and I like to mix it with a little petitgrain and then a little bit of orange peel, and then you have just an incredible blend of the flower, the fruit, and the branch wood that comes from that one plant, and I'm sort of obsessed with that right now. And so I spray it on my curtains and put it in the dryer on a towel with my sheets and pillowcases so that everything will come up, and I'll feel like the Queen Cleo. I think of her, and I just think of, I don't know. It's just fun, just a fantasy.
And so we someday we're going to call you the modern day Cleopatra.
No.
Well, Danica, it's just been a great fun. I think I've laughed more in this interview than perhaps any other. Thank you for being with us. Tell us if somebody wants to get a hold of you and your brand, how do they reach out to you?
You can reach me at Danica, DANICA, at IAM, and the word fragrance, Danica at IamFragrance.com. And yeah, I would love to hear from you.
Okay, great. Well,
thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
Patty.
thank you for being with us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so that'll do for us today. Don't miss our lineup in the next few weeks. Next week, I'll have a guest host that will be taking my place, and you'll meet my partner, Kevin Michelle, who will bring you the story of brushes made in America. The following week, I'll be back with Dr. Nalini Prasad, who will take us into the world of Medi-Spas. Mark your calendars and be with us every week. Send your questions and comments to request at American Made Beauty. I'm Patty Smucker. You're listening to Radio AMB on HealthyLife.net. Thanks for listening and to Radio AMB, where we think pretty is pretty important in all things in beauty.